So welcome back, everybody. This is Night Flight. And today we are going to talk to David Case. He is an electronic engineer. He is also an inventor. He actually invented quite a few things. And and our topic will be electronic harassment and Y2K. A lot of you know this technology. So welcome to the show, David.
Thank you for having me.
So could you tell us a little bit what your field of expertise was as an electronic engineer and what type of inventions you did?
Sure. I started out really young learning electronics, teaching myself actually. Around 6 years old, I started tearing apart my toys and making new ones out of them. And then I started experimenting with electricity. And by the time I was 8 or 9 years old, I had built several things. A digital door lock. I built my own chemistry set. I was making hydrogen by scratching zinc off the trash can and mixing it with different things. And I was growing copper sulfate crystals, which are real pretty blue crystals, almost like a blue sapphire. And I advanced very quickly on my own with no teaching whatsoever. And I went and got my degree, and I started actually having daytime visions of high technology, and I started building them. And the first one was a magnetic levitator, and it levitates metal objects. Nothing touches it. It actually levitates. And I just saw the vision in my head, and it was much like a CAD program. It was turning slowly. I could see how it worked, the wiring and everything. And I immediately went home, stayed up all night, and made the device out of used TV parts. And by morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, I was levitating small pieces of metal. So I began to work on other projects, and I really fascinated with a photonic processor, a light-operated computer instead of electricity. And it carries much more data on a light beam than electricity. And so I began to develop that. And the first device, was the memory side of it, which I called a multi-dimensional data storage device. And it's similar to a clear, semi-clear CD or DVD disc, but it had multi-dimensional refractions in it, similar to a diamond. You know how you can look into a diamond and see all different angles, fractals, etc. And so it stored a lot of data. So then I began to make a processor that could handle that much data. And I went to a patent attorney, and I just, wanted to patent this device before I got any further. And that's when the trouble started. I didn't realize that there's so much corruption in, my country. I love my country, don't get me wrong, what is left of it. And, I began to be followed, and I took a break from the patent process, and I went down to my parents' house, and we was all watching TV, and all of a sudden I got a slight ringing in the ears, and I've never had tinnitus, never had any health problems whatsoever. And so I went in the next bedroom, my old bedroom, and laid down, and I just picked up, the Bible and started reading Revelations. And all of a sudden, the TV in the other room with my parents started flipping channels faster and faster and faster, to where there's no way a person could be changing the channels that fast. So I thought, the TV is messing up. I don't know what's going on. And then a sound of arcing electricity come closer and closer, like a zzz, and then boom, the TV blew up with a loud noise, and then screams and violins come over the speaker. I'm like, what is going on with the TV? And just then, a pickup truck pulls up, and this is at nighttime. The house is locked up. A guy walks in and starts, very loud voice, says, you're going to have to turn down emotions. We can't keep blowing equipment. We lost Alpha to Zulu. And there's a pause. And then he says, I don't know. He just walked in his room. And from that day on, I was attacked electronically. Very, very debilitating, ultra loud shrieking, electronic shrieking in both ears. I could not continue the patent process. I lost everything. Lost my jobs. Even friends and family were like, what is going on with you, Dave? And it just totally destroyed my life. And after 3 years, I said, I'm an electronic engineer. This is an electronic attack covertly using high technology. Why can't I make something that sounds like the tinnitus, the artificial tinnitus, and interfere with it? And I begged God for help. And that's the same time I wired 2 IC chips together randomly. I didn't have no plan, no schematic. And when I turned it on, it made the strangest sounds. And I recorded them and played it on headphones, and boom, it knocked out my artificial tinnitus. I began to heal, and I got back everything times 1,000. And then I began to give it away on my website. And so far, we're up to 2,000 people helped by this sound mix.
Mm-hmm.
And
David, can we rewind a little bit, because I have some questions?
Sure.
Okay. So when you said you had visions of devices and how they worked, it popped up into your head, I assume that was during your times when you were awake, or was that in a dream state?
No, during the daytime.
Okay. And did you notice a pattern? Was there a specific time of the day when it would happen, or during specific actions during the day?
No, it was it's totally random.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still struggling, with where did these visions come from? And, did I invent the photonic processor, or was it a warning from God? Hey, I want to give you some information. You're about to be attacked by this. Here's how it works. Or did I invent it using my mind? We are essentially electromagnetic beings. We transmit and receive energy, whether people know it or not. And, technology is really being used against us. And that's the whole reason I'm here, because I love my country, and I'm really trying to warn people about what is going on. And
when you said
it's really dangerous.
Yeah. When you said you wanted to patent a computer that is running on light beams, so do I understand correctly that the light would have replaced the electricity?
Yes. The data bus would be essentially a rainbow. Each color would be a data stream. And there's multiple ways to multiplex data on a light beam. Fiber optics today would be similar.
And I'm sorry if this question sounds so stupid, but that computer would have worked in darkness as well.
Yeah, it would be self-contained. You know, even a simple CD player uses a simple red laser beam, and it reflects off of the spinning disc. That's a oversimplified version of mine. Mine would hit the disc with a white laser containing all colors. The disc spinning, some would be reflected, different colors containing data. Half of the beam would go through the disc and collect, there would be collectors underneath the disc. So it would, you know, send out a lot of data all in one, all at one time. And, you know, it would, you know, tremendous amount of data storage, and the data would be ready before the processor would be ready. It was so fast.
Oh.
So, yeah, there was no delay. There was no buffering. It was ready before the processor wanted the data.
Mm-hmm. So, and then somebody told you that there is already an invention like that, or what happened?
Right. I found out later after I was attacked that they had these photonic processors, and they're classified technology. We're not supposed to know about them. So I actually reverse engineered what occurred to me, and I found the exact military operation that I was attacked under. It's called Operation Clean Sweep. For 3 years, the exact years I was targeted, 1997, 98, 99, the military recorded television programs and modified them and rebroadcast them from helicopters, towers, etc., to certain people across the entire United States. They picked out who they wanted to target, and they transmitted these TV programs onto their TV to, quote, affect their emotions. Remember how I said the guy said, you've got to turn down emotions. We can't keep blowing equipment.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Do you have any idea what he means by that?
Sure. After much research, I found out to target somebody, they need at least 13 channels of different microwave pulses, low frequencies, and then the television is one of the best mind control devices there are. And it is amazing what they can do with flashing lights, because the eye-brain connection goes directly to your subconscious. A television can put you in the alpha state, which is you don't even notice things around you. You switch to internal thinking. And so this technology, along with the television, they are able to manipulate people tremendously. Similar to back in the 50s, when you went to a drive-in, they found out if they spliced the film and put a picture of a hot dog, there's just one frame of a hot dog. You don't really see it, but your subconscious picks it up, and you look over to the other people in the car and say, "Oh, I'm hungry. I'm going to go get a hot dog." So it's subliminals, essentially. And they caught them doing that in the 50s.
Yeah. So walk me through that again. You were reading Revelations. Your parents were in the living room watching TV. The TV went crazy. And did I understand this correctly, that you said the house was locked and somebody walked into the room? and said,
Yeah, he had to have a. He walked into the other section of the house. We had a business. Half of the
yeah,
house was a business. The other half was a residence, and the house was locked up. So he had to have had a key.
wow.
And yeah, it gets stranger because what I've uncovered is that they are able to use this technology to download organic computer programs into people's brains using the television and activate these at any time they want and shut off the subconscious and use that person as a drone. And that's why I'm here, because it's getting so dangerous out there. I mean, humanity is about to be hijacked by high-tech criminals. That's how bad it is, because they're so advanced. And our criminal court system is still stuck in the 60s. You know, they have no idea about this technology. It just sounds crazy to them. And it just does not work if you try to sue, you know, or find out or do anything in the criminal court, because that's why this technology was invented, to get around the Constitution, to get around the legal system. They want to be able to remove people from society without knocking on their door and arresting them and going through a long court case, or, you know, showing up at their door and shooting them, because then there's evidence. They want a clean way to anonymously remove people from society, and now they've perfected this system and they have it.
So hence the term clean sweep.
Yes. Now they've removed this operation from the internet. And if you Google clean sweep, Operation Clean Sweep, it's all about cleaning this and cleaning that. They've totally removed the true information about it. I did find it in 2001, and I have not been able to find it since.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
and that's
so
the other danger.
yeah. So
Go
when
ahead.
it comes, sorry, go ahead.
Well, you know, we are being edited. You know, the internet only supplies what they want us to know, and true knowledge is being removed, and you know, even our opinions are removed if they don't like them. So freedom is disappearing very quickly, and you know, we really have to stand up for our freedoms, or we will lose them. Freedom is not free.
Yeah, that's correct. So when you try to research Y2K and electronic harassment and targeted individuals, of course, sources like Wikipedia and Vice, they will tell you that it is all a conspiracy theory, and that those people are having mental problems. So there's a total denial there. So, and then on the other hand, I found something, it's from the website army-technology.com. And the title is Weapons of Perception, Neuroscience and Mind-Controlled Weapons. Advances in neuroscience offer the military the potential of mind-controlled weapons and performance enhancement. Are mind-controlled weapons and extrasensory enhanced warfare techniques mere science fiction? Recent developments in neuroscience suggest not, with a new Royal Society report claiming that research in areas such as neuropharmacology, functional neuroimaging, and neural interface systems could create a new breed of super soldier and diminish enemy ability. Of course, they are looking at it from the angle of the military and how to enhance soldiers. But am I correct that this is basically this, somehow the same technology?
Yeah, there's many different things, devices they're testing on the public non-consensually, covertly. And, you know, I have many of the scientific documents and journals where they invented this stuff. So I have absolute proof that not only did they do this, but they are doing it. And it represents a huge power grab. I mean, taking over the thoughts of your citizens is one thing, but like this document says, they want to, this is from decades ago, they're going to take over every brain on Earth. Can I read this to you?
Sure.
Within the last 2 decades, a potential has emerged which was improbable, but which is now feasible. This potential is the technical capability to influence directly the major portion of the approximately 6 billion brains of the human species without meditation, through classical sensory modalities by generating neural information within the physical medium within which all members of the species are immersed. The historical emergence of such possibilities, which have ranged from gunpowder to atomic fission, have resulted in major changes in the social evolution that occurred inordinately quickly after the implementation. Now, what he's saying is they want to surround the Earth with satellites and broadcast neural information to every brain on Earth. And it is non-consensual. You won't know it.
Yeah.
And then I've actually found the devices in the satellites, what they're called, quantum interference detection device. They actually
say
can
that
detect
again. Quantum what?
Quantum interference detection device.
Okay.
Now what this does, okay, you know what an MRI is, right?
Yeah.
Magnetic resonance imaging.
Yeah, I have been in one.
When you go in a hospital. Yeah, I've never been in one, but and I won't either. But essentially, they are able to pick up and monitor the anatomical spin of atoms from long distance. So this allows them to read your brain waves, your heart rate, your body temperature, every electrical activity of your body. Now they record this and use it as a serial number. Everybody's brain waves and electrical activity is slightly different than the next person. This is how they pick you out of a room of 100 or 1,000 people. And they can target that individual skull. And they send packets of high energy. They're not necessarily waves, and that's why they're very hard to detect. And these packets of energy hit the moisture of the skin and the skull and expand the moisture and contract so quickly it causes sounds. Now they can create voices, tinnitus, shrieking, clicking, fluttering, many different sounds. And we're finding that when the targeted individual puts on my sound mix, my jammer CD, with the COS headphones, that it interferes with this technology, the part of it called a biorelevant feedback loop. In other words, if you're going to target somebody, you have to have real-time data from that skull. Not 10 minutes later, there can't be any delay. They have to know exactly, precisely where you are and your brainwave pattern to influence that brainwave pattern. And what my CD does is it jams that biorelevant feedback loop, and they lose the data collection, or signal intelligence is the proper word, because this is all falls under the CIA and NSA's signal intelligence program. And we're finding that my jammer CD not only stops the artificial tinnitus, but stops the V2K or voices. It stops hyperacusis. It stops many forms of electronic harassment because, like I say, they must have real-time data to attack that person. And when they lose that, the whole thing begins to break down and the person is freed.
Mm. Do you remember
But,
a couple of years ago, there was yeah, something in the media with the embassy in Havana and
yes, yes, that was Russia. That was Russia attacking our diplomats.
okay.
That
And
was
is
local.
that a
Yeah,
similar technology?
it's a similar technology, but a little cruder because they were using local equipment. What I am talking about is satellite based. And the reason I say that, the diplomats reported that, you know, they would get the ringing in the ears, just like I did, the artificial tinnitus. But if they moved to the other side of the room, it went away. So what that equipment was doing is sending two different beams, and where those beams intersect, you know, they were trying to hit the skull with two different beams, and that made the artificial tinnitus and brain damage, by the way, because this equipment and this technology is actually causing brain damage. But yeah, the satellite-based system, you cannot get away from it. You can move to the other side of the room. You could go to the North Pole. And here's the reason why. In other words, the GPS satellite system surrounds the Earth. There's nowhere you can get away from that signal. Now, they'll tell you that it is very, very weak signal, you know, no big deal. But when you realize the technology that is capable, you know, you really do not want to be around any electromagnetic activity. Just like you said about cell phones, you know, you don't want to put it next to your head. And actually, our DNA unwinds when a cell phone is close to us, and our body has to repair that.
Yeah, I don't own one. I don't own a TV, and I have to say that was one of my best decisions I ever made.
Wow, I've never met nobody like you. That's wonderful.
Yeah, I know a few other people. Ilana Freeland, the same. Sherry Sweeney, I also interviewed her. The same. No cell phone, no TV.
That is exactly my message. We have to get away from technology. We have to get back to basics, old school. You know, I don't have any apps. All I have is a flip phone, and I do not get on the internet with it. You know, these apps on these smartphones track everywhere you go, what you do, and they do listen to you. I don't care what the company says, but they're used to track society and monitor, and they sell that information too. And we have to remove ourselves from technology, even though it's inconvenient. But, you know, I grew up in the 80s. There was no internet. We didn't have cell phones, and everything worked great.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so we just have to protect ourselves by not participating in their technology scam, essentially. It's a Trojan horse. Every electronic device they sell in the store, your TV, your phone, and now they're turning everything into smart refrigerators, smart can openers, and they're going to track and be used for this type of technology.
So in other words, you could be attacked by your coffee maker?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Smart meters, many people report headaches, you know, health problems, and, you know, the more radiation your body receives, the worse off you are. And when it is designed radiation, nefarious, that's when you're in real trouble, because they can cause brain damage, specific areas of the brain, to what I call remotely induced schizophrenia. And they can essentially drive anyone crazy in just a few weeks with this technology, and no one is the wiser, because it is invisible and it's hard to detect because it's a classified propagation method. I call it time variant wave propagation, similar to what Tesla invented. I don't know if you know about Tesla.
Yeah. So, you know what really beats me is, I know you already explained that the end goal is to have every single brain here under control. But as of now, what do you have to do to become a targeted individual?
Well, you don't really have to do anything, but especially if you're someone like me, which I come behind the Pentagon and invented technology they already have. So they viewed me as a danger or unknown and had to remove me. And, I wasn't a criminal, so they couldn't arrest me. I was just a young kid, so the only thing they could do is use covert technology on me. And
that is
you will
because
find
you came up with that light computer?
That is what I've been finding. The U.S. government has a practice and policy to poison, harass, jail, and kill inventors. That's how they control the release of technologies.
Yeah, that's true. There have been, oh my goodness, I guess that was even in the 50s and 60s, some people who came with cancer cures. They burned down their laboratories and
yeah, I mean that's brutal, but that's the way humanity works. Our leaders, they're elitists, so they believe there's too many people in the world. So these kind of things are perfect in alignment with their view. They think they need to remove or kill a couple billion people to save the earth. They really do believe that. They're under a strong delusion, is what I believe. But, in our society, there are many things that are what I call design failures. They purposely design our systems to where it fails. In other words, they put chemicals in the soap that lower your immune system. And it attacks your immune system. So you catch colds and flus and you have to go to the hospital. Then the medical establishment makes billions of dollars. They put chemicals in the shampoos that cause skin cancer. They put chemicals in our food supply that cause cancer, all kinds of heart disease, such as sodium nitrate, monosodium glutamate, sodium benzenate. And so if we decide, we're going to take back our freedoms, we're going to take back our health, we need to be proactive and stop buying these products. Read the label, read what's in it,
Yeah. And that is how I do my shopping. I read every label. If I buy something that is packaged or is in a can, which I very rarely do, I prefer to do everything from scratch. Then I know what's in it.
Right.
But yeah, I read every label, and if I find something that I don't like, it goes back on the shelf.
Right. And then, a long time ago, when they started producing aluminum, there was a waste product called fluoride.
Yeah.
They could not store it in any container. It ate through every container. Guess what they did?
They put
They
it
decided
in the
to feed it
toothpaste and
feed
in
it
the
to
water.
everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing, what they are able to accomplish, and nobody is the wiser. We really have to be more intelligent and do our research, because I mean they're essentially at war with the people, us, and
Yeah.
we've got to protect ourselves.
Mm. For quite a while, I thought that, fluoride and aspartame, that is, kindergarten level of waking up. But I have to say, I noticed that over the years, that knowledge somehow got lost again. You know what I mean? You have to remind people these days,
Oh yeah,
again,
yeah,
don't drink fluoridated water. Do not use stuff that has artificial sweeteners in it, and on it goes. So I don't know why we are so forgetful.
exactly. And California, really fluoridates their water. Guess what happened to the children? Their teeth started rotting. It's called fluoritis.
Yeah.
When you get too much fluoride, it eats the teeth up. Well, they were promoting fluoride as a teeth saver.
Yeah, but that that sales pitch is a little bit strange, because when you look at that entire subject of fluoridated water, then you will quickly find out that the Soviets in the gulags and the Nazis in the concentration camps used to fluoridate the water of the prisoners. And for the life of me, I do not believe that they did that because they were worried about, bad teeth.
Right, right, exactly. And you just hit on something. Hitler invented many things, such as white bread, methamphetamine, the Autobahn or highway systems, jets. Every one of his inventions has been incorporated into the U.S. society. Everybody eats white bread. It's bleached, no fiber, all the nutrients are removed. And the reason Hitler did it was to make the Jews think they were getting fed when they weren't. They would eat, but they didn't get any nutrition,
Yeah.
And Hitler got a lot of his ideas from the U.S. government's eugenics program.
That's true.
He wanted to make a super race. And the U.S. was, if you had funny looking facial features, or, you had a retarded child, or anything they could come up with, they would sterilize your family. And, it's really amazing if you research your history of your country. And I like I say, I do love my country, what's left of it, because we were taken over in 1913 by the foreign corporation, Federal Reserve, and we can't even print our own money. So we really are not a country. We're a fragment of what we used to be. And I still love what's left of it, but it's quickly disappearing also.
Yeah. So help me understand this. Have you ever seen the first movie of this Kingsman Secret Service? Anyway,
no, I haven't.
It doesn't matter. Anyway, there is a scene in it. It takes place in a church. And before the scene, there was a guy who was giving out mobile phones, mobile phones for everybody. So, and then he sent a certain signal, and in that church, a total brawl broke out. And people were fighting each other. So there were even some dead afterwards.
Okay.
And all of
I
that.
did see that movie.
Okay.
Yes, I've seen that movie.
Yeah.
I know
So,
exactly what you're talking about.
yeah. So is that also something, but you know what I don't get? I guess what I'm aiming at here is usually you have a sender and a receiver. In that scene that I just described, it is the mobile phone that everybody had, and they sent it via the mobile phone, and everybody got the frequency. So do I understand correctly that a device as a receiver is no longer needed?
Correct.
Oh.
Yes. Like I say, they're able to create pixels in the skull of energy, specific energy points, and it is multi or three-dimensional. You know, they can target the left side of the brain or the center or the, you know, any portion of the brain they want to target. Now, in that movie, essentially what they did there is what I was talking about, the organic computer program. In other words, when you're able to put a program into a person's brain or a group of people, a single signal can activate that in everyone, or if they choose, just one person.
Okay. And in other words, the others around you who are not familiar with this topic, they might think you are just nuts.
Exactly. And then that actually protects the technology because, oh, well, John down the street just went insane, you know. There's no evidence of high technology. There's nobody to blame. He just went insane. And if you notice, the state of mental health in the world is declining very, very quickly. And the targeting epidemic is expanding. And that's why I'm here, because I have the countermeasure. We've helped over 2,000 people. And I give it away on my website. I do have to charge for shipping. It's just $19 for the CD. And, you know, if you don't mind, I can list my website.
Yeah, sure, please.
It is anti-tinnitus V2K.com.
And I will also put the link, of course, in the description box underneath.
Okay, I sure appreciate it. I sure appreciate it. If I could get my CD countermeasure to all of the people being targeted or more, we could actually stop this. And if you'll notice, these school shooters that look like they go insane, take a gun and go shoot up a bunch of kids, the majority of them hear voices telling them to do this. And my CD stops the voices. It interferes with that transmission. And so I really am trying to help as many people as possible and get out the word.
Yeah. So how do you see in this context, if there is no longer a need for any device, where does this Neuralink from Elon Musk fit in here?
Okay, well, I got a lot of information on that. I've actually, I sent you pictures of the electric solar pickup truck I built. I built several electric vehicles, but what they're wanting to do is make these newer vehicles, especially electric vehicles, read your thoughts, and you don't have to steer the vehicle or hit the brakes. You just think about it. Now, this is a proven technology. You know, everything we hear about in the open has already occurred 40 years ago in secret. But now they're coming out with this, and they're going to have thought-controlled vehicles. There are so many dangers to electronic vehicles like this, because that technology can be reversed in less than a second. They could send neural information to the driver that they're unaware of. They can also shut down those electric vehicles. Right now, we have the freedom to travel. If we have a tank of gas, I can go anywhere I want. They can't shut it off. And that's another reason I keep older vehicles. But when we're all forced to get electric vehicles, they can all be shut down instantly by satellite. So if there's any protests or the next pandemic they come up with and they say, oh, you got to stay home for a year, and people try to leave, their electric vehicle won't work. They've given up their freedom of choice and travel, and they're stuck. And they have to do exactly what the government tells them to get any food, to get any help, and they will not be traveling if the government decides to do that. And I'm trying to encourage people not to buy these electric vehicles. If you could get a stripped down version that is not linked to a satellite, that would be great. That wouldn't be bad. I've built electric vehicles. I really like them. Mine is a 1998 Ford electric pickup. It has no link to a satellite. It's old technology. And it went for 3,000 miles, solar powered, and had the same horsepower as a regular truck, quiet, and worked great. But when they started linking these cars to satellites and cell towers, that's when you're giving up your freedom to travel, possibly in the future when they decide to.
Okay, and so when still, I don't get where Elon Musk fits in here. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit slow tonight.
Well, I like Elon Musk, but I do not understand why he's doing this technology. He even said AI is like summoning the devil, but yet he's doing things like this. So I don't understand what he's up to, but I mean, I do like what he's doing in different areas, but you know, he needs to be more aware of the dangers of this technology. And here's another thing that they're able to do with the electric vehicles. There's been many suspected cases in the United States that these self-driving vehicles were hacked and used as an assassination tool. The car was hacked probably by an intelligence agency somewhere, you know, I'm not going to say who because I can't prove it, but the vehicle was told to crash electronically, you know, and killed the occupants. And so it's one of the biggest power grabs they can do with these electric vehicles is control population movement, assassinate ones they don't want, and just total control over us.
So I have here an article it's from the Times of India, and it says US Army developing synthetic telepathy, meaning that they can convey messages, by thought, which of course would be, beneficial in the battlefield if there is nothing to hack in terms of, you know, codes and so on and so forth. Yeah, but I don't know. I still have the impression that somehow here a device is still in the play in this article.
Well, now, there are nano chips or smart dust that, self-assembling transistors that can be sprayed, and when they hit the ground, they self-assemble. So yes, there can be tiny nanotechnology devices. Yes, there can. But what I'm telling you is that it's advancing so quickly that they do not need those anymore. In other words, they're advancing so quickly, 2 months from now, even this will be obsolete. It's progressing so fast.
So would you say that it would be a good step for us to get rid of our TVs and cell phones?
Yes, absolutely. And, if you have to have a cell phone, use it on Bluetooth or speakerphone. What I do is use a Bluetooth device, and I put the cell phone up under the hood of the motor and keep it far away from me. And some of the metal of the vehicle will shield it a little bit from you. And I also, the reason I get a flip phone, I take the battery out after, I do a short call or something. I'll take the battery out, and then because even if you turn off a cell phone, it's still transmitting to the tower saying, here I am, I'm going such and such speed, I'm going this direction. It's constantly communicating with the tower, informing them where you're at and everything.
So why is it so hard for people to, okay, other than interviews like this, there is no talk really in media. We had a few articles about the Havana syndrome, and then the entire subject disappeared again. Do you think that there is a chunk of people that really do not know any better? Because I have a hard time to imagine that really through all the ranks from top to bottom, everybody is in on it. You know what I mean?
No, this is secret technology, covert classified technology. Not many people know about it. And, it's because of the news media. In other words, in the 70s, our diplomats were attacked in Moscow by electromagnetic means. It caused them to cry uncontrollably. The military did a study on the electromagnetic activity that was being hit in our embassy in Moscow, and found out it was a very low level, and that all American ships, military ships, had 100 times more radiation. So they kept it silent. And instead of even removing those people, they just gave them hazard pay. When another country attacks us, the CIA sits back and watches and sees what happens because they want that technology. They want to steal it from the attacking country. And when we attack Russia, they do the same thing. They want to learn, how are they doing this? We want this technology. So in other words, the media does what the corporates want, the corporations that run this country. And they will not report what is not to be known. That's why people don't know about all this stuff. If they were reporting correctly the truth, everybody would have known that this technology can affect your emotions, your brain waves, et cetera, because it happened in the 1970s, but nobody knows about it.
So how does anyone know for sure if his or her tinnitus is yeah, artificially induced or if it's natural?
Well, that's a good question. It usually is associated with other effects. In other words, a lot of people with the artificial tinnitus report gang stalking, which, they're walking down the street in, let's say, New York City, and the people walking by will say things that are super relevant to that person's life. Let's say they bought a blue car that day. They walk in this shop and somebody says blue car, and they walk across the street and somebody walks up to them and says blue car, and the mind of the target individual associates all this activity and is very highly disturbing to the person. And they report that people know things going on in their life that they should not know. And that is one of the effects of targeting. They're able to send subliminals to the crowd around the targeted individual and cause very disturbing thoughts, that the crowd is after them, etc. And
so in other words,
many people,
the people that are participating in the gang stalking, they might not even know that they are being used?
Well, that's it. There's various degrees. They can send a subliminal message to a person through the tongue muscle. That person perceives it as their own thought. They can send a voice to the tongue muscle saying, I think I want a glass of orange juice. And that person will unknowingly think that was their thought, and they get up and go get a glass of orange juice. Now, was that person targeted? Yes, but not in a negative, attack way. It was a small subliminal message. So, with varying degrees, they can actually cause pain, attack the heart. They can do all kinds of things, but they can also send subliminals to you subtly. So it just depends on, your situation and what they want to do to you.
Yeah, because, when you hear the term gang stalking, it sounds a little bit as if, a bunch of people have rotted together and are harassing this specific individual. And but the way you describe it, it might be that they are unwilling participants.
Yes, exactly. And here's the goal of most targeting. They want you to think that your neighbor has equipment and that neighbor is targeting you. And how they do this is they synchronize with activities around you. Okay, every day Bob pulls up in his driveway and goes in his house. All of a sudden, that person across the street gets a ringing in ears. Only when Bob comes home. Now, the brain of the target individual says, hey, why is it I only get ringing in ears when Bob comes home? I bet he's got something in his house. They go confront Bob or attack him or call the police. Now there's a police record of somebody that sounds, quote, crazy. So they're able to synchronize these different attacks to manipulate the perception of the target. So, it's kind of complex, but that's how they're doing it.
That reminds me of a movie that I have seen many years ago. It's called Control Factor. But in that movie, there was in the next apartment, but it was not the neighbor. Yeah, they were from some agency, and they started targeting this particular individual, and but he figured it out in the end what was going on.
Yeah. And that's, you know, my exact scenario. I should be dead. And, you know, I give all the credit to the creator, because I believe he helped me make this device, this countermeasure. And, I mean, it's just, I feel better than the day before I was attacked. I'm healthier. We're finding my CD causes neuroplasticity, which is essentially neural rebooting or neural healing. So the CD packs a 1-2 punch. It interferes with the targeting equipment and helps the brain heal. So it's a godsend to me and over 2,000 people so far.
Yeah. So apart from gang stalking, are there other differences between a natural tinnitus, for instance, and one that is artificially induced?
Well, I can tell you personally, by the way, my CD is stopping natural tinnitus and artificial tinnitus.
Oh, great.
But it's very hard to tell if your tinnitus is natural or not. But now I could easily tell, because I'm an electronic engineer, and I can actually tell you what the sound is. It's called pulse code modulation. It's similar to the old dial-up internet or the test of the emergency broadcast system here in the U.S. If you're in your car radio, got your car radio on, it'll say, this is a test of the emergency broadcast system. And this horrible screeching electronic, you know, it just, oh my gosh, it's horrible sound. That's what my tinnitus sounded like. And it was very easy instantly for me to tell that it was electronics, you know. But, you know, I can't hear what other people hear, so I can't describe what they hear. But I knew mine was electronic immediately, because I'm in electronics, and I recognize the pattern of the data stream, you know.
Yeah. Do you think that is because that just popped into my mind? I remember when Obama was still president, one day he announced that there will be a huge brain mapping project launched in the United States. Do you think that these things are connected?
Well, everything is connected, first of all. In other words, you know, when you go to the hospital and get tests, you know, intelligence agencies can easily attain that information without the hospital knowing, you know. So anything we do today is shared, whether you know it or not, or give permission or not. And like I was talking about, the MRI in the early 2000s, they invented a way, if you go into an MRI in a hospital, they can change the anatomical spin of the atoms in your skin to form logic circuits. So, you know, I don't go to hospitals. I'm a herbalist. Every problem I've ever had, I've either cured with herbs or my CD, jammer CD. You know, we really need to be informed people on every technology, everything in the hospital. I mean, if I break a leg, obviously I'm going to have to go to the hospital, but I choose to be my own doctor. And because, you know, pharmaceuticals will kill you. They're absolutely horrible for your body.
I
And
totally agree with you. The reason why I had to go into that MRI was that I had a brain tumor, and but
oh, okay,
yeah, but it was not malignant, which was good, but it
I
had
see.
to be removed because I had reached a point where, when I drank a sip of water, I vomited a couple of minutes later, meaning
Oh,
I
wow.
was highly dehydrated. So there was no way that you could have given me anything because, yeah, everything came out again.
Right. Well, I can tell you, ginger root strangles tumors. It stops the blood flow to them.
Yeah, and
Uh,
and that is called what? Gender root?
ginger,
Ginger.
ginger,
Mm.
and uh, and that's another thing. We need to be proactive. In other words, I do ginger every other day. I do
Yeah,
burdock root, which is a detox, and it cleans your blood. You know, I'm not sick, but I do it anyway because I don't want to be sick. I
yeah,
prevent being sick
yeah,
by this method.
yeah.
But
I
yeah,
I have
there's
a regiment as well, and there's also ginger in it. Yeah.
good deal. Good.
Mm. So what does
Yeah,
it
yeah.
what does it feel like when you're being zapped?
Oh my gosh, it's like being burned up alive.
Mm.
They were able to do what's called a brainwave overlay on me, and how they come up with this, they stick electrodes on people in these underground bunkers and poison them to death and record their brain waves the whole time they're dying. They record this, and then they're able to rebroadcast that to anybody they want. Uh, when I would walk in my house, my nose would start burning, my skin would start burning. It was like they'd sprayed the worst poison in my house you'd ever seen or felt or smelled. So I walked back outside and it disappeared. They were doing this electronically to make me think my house was poisoned. So I couldn't go to sleep. I couldn't stay in my house. I had to stay outside. So I started camping out. I'm like, all right, I got to figure out this delivery method. How are they doing this? Because I was sure they did not spray poison in my house. I knew it was electronic. So, they're able to manipulate your smell, your skin sensations, uh, many parts of your body. And it feels like you're burning up, like you're in a nuclear plant with radiation just burning you up. And along with that, uh, they're able to shut down many neural pathways. So you lose cognitive abilities. You're getting worse and worse each day, disheveled. I went from house to house to my friends trying to find refuge, and there was none.
Mm.
And finally, I invented this countermeasure. And, like I say, I've been free for over 22 years.
Mm.
In the year 2000, the summer of 2000 is when I invented this. And I've been free ever since. And they have not been able to countermeasure my countermeasure. So,
My goodness, in 2000, that means 23 years ago. I can't even imagine where they are now with that technology.
exactly. That's why I'm trying to warn everybody.
Mm.
And you know what? This has occurred thousands of years ago. They're finding out that Egypt had electricity, gliders, other technologies, and were destroyed. Their civilization was destroyed. Greek mythology, a lot of this stuff was actually true. They had robots. they found a computer in a Greek cave. It is so advanced, it's a mechanical computer, but it is so advanced, they x-rayed it, they can't figure out how it works.
Mm.
They found out that the Tower of Babel in the scriptures was not just a rock tower, it had photonic and electrical capabilities. So it most likely
How did they find
had
that
something. Pardon me?
How did they find that out with the Tower of Babel?
I was listening to a seminar of a Jewish rabbi. He was an archaeologist, and he was explaining that they had found out that it had electrical and photonic properties. So it probably had many different crystal circuits, electrical circuits. It may have even had something to do with the sun. When the sun hit it, you know, it may have emitted frequencies that influence people, etc. You know.
Mm.
And then, you know, of course, Atlantis, Babylon was highly advanced. And, you know, many societies in the past actually had technology that we're not to know about, you know.
Yeah, I can imagine that, definitely. That, I mean, we see a lot of evidence that there must have been, yeah, a highly developed society that is completely lost from our records.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, even in India, there are ancient writings that talk about flying cities throwing bombs at each other. They had a war.
The
the description, yeah, the description describes atomic explosions. And they went to that area and they found radioactivity in the rocks.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's much about our past that we really don't understand or know. And there again, if you don't understand your history, history will reoccur if you don't learn, you know.
You know, when I'm listening to you, that just, yeah, cements my attitude that there is a lot of, you know, speculation who is ultimately pulling the strings here. And I would say that is a non-human influence, because yes, I know humans can do horrible things. Yes, I know some of them are very corrupt, and yes, we have evil among us. But for the life of me, my goodness, no human is sitting on the porch, you know, and is thinking, you know what, now we are going to invent something that we are all going to melt their brains, and then we are we are giving them a heart attack and nobody knows what's going on. There is an underlying influence that is not human. I'm convinced of that.
That's very possible. I was watching the History Channel one day, and you familiar with Area 51?
Yeah.
Yeah. And back in the 50s, I think it was President MacArthur, the base, they were in charge of retrieving crashed, quote, UFOs, and they stopped communicating with the Pentagon, and they were ordering very strange supplies. And MacArthur sent a message to the base, says, if you do not answer my questions, I am going to surround your base with 50,000 soldiers, and we're coming in. Well, come to find out, they had captured a UFO. Several of the bodies were dead, but one was alive. So it's very possible that these beings have telepathic powers to cause people to do things they would normally do, or, you know, take over a crowd around them, etc. They're very advanced, but what they are, they're not actually alive. They're drones driven by a higher intelligence, such as an artificial intelligence.
Exactly.
You know, one of the guys in charge of getting these bodies from crashes actually testified before Congress, and he started crying. He says these beings are like cookie cutters. There's hardly any difference in their facial features or anything. They're like they're manufactured, and that makes total sense. They're actually bio drones. They look alive, but they're not. They're more like machines, or, you know, proxies for a higher intelligence.
Yeah, probably cloned to death, you know, a copy of
Right.
a copy of a copy
Exactly.
of a copy. And then
Right.
one day it all disintegrates.
Right.
So how did you find the frequency to counteract this?
Well, like I said, I did not find anything. I randomly wired, after I begged God for help, I randomly wired two 555 oscillator chips together to try to make a sound that was similar to my artificial tinnitus, to you know, interfere with it. And I just accidentally made this device that it has 7 kinds of interference on it. And a study was done in the United Kingdom by Dr. Dineshin of the British Association of Cognitive Neuroscience, and he found that there's 2.8 megahertz of ultrasonics on my jammer CD. Now, this frequency is known in medical journals to cause neuroplasticity and heal many parts of the body. And I can send you, I'll email you links to these medical journals. But nothing, no headphones are supposed to reproduce this, because, you know, headphones usually only go to 20 kilohertz to 25 kilohertz. But Dr. Dineshin says that it's making its way through the COS headphones by way of magnetostriction. And it's a phenomenon known in when you electrify a wire, it actually lengthens. When you take away the electricity, it shortens. It's a really strange phenomenon, but he says that we all, our users of my CD, are getting the 2.8 megahertz that is so beneficial and interferes with this technology. So, but the answer to your question is there are many frequencies and pulses and sounds on my CD.
So you said that you are no longer being molested, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So how did that work? I cannot imagine that you walked around 24/7 with a headphone.
No. You do not have to listen to the CD forever. The pattern we're seeing, the average length of time you need to listen to the CD is 3 weeks, every night, all night, while sleeping. Now, when they first get it, they should play it in the daytime for a couple hours to get used to the chaotic sounds, because it's really different. It's strange at first, but after a few days, as neuroplastic changes occur, you actually crave it. I continue to use it because it helps me sleep deeper. And, you know, my tinnitus is gone. I don't have any problems like that. But it has other benefits also. So now I do see people getting results after a few days. Some people do take a little longer, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, etc. And then once you knock out the biorelevant feedback loop, your tinnitus is gone or your other effects, then you may only have to play it once a week or once every 2 weeks as maintenance,
And do you think they will find a workaround for that?
They would have if they could. And, I mean, it's been over 22 years and they have not. So, I mean, obviously they could come poison me or something like that, but, electronically, it just, they can't get around physics. In other words, the CD masks your biosignature. It masks
okay, now I
what
get
they're
it.
trying to read. Yeah. Yeah, they can't read your biosignnature. They can't tell exactly where I'm at. They can't direct the energy to my skull. They don't know where my skull is.
And but do they notice that they can no longer send it?
Well, you'd have to ask them, but
Okay. Yeah, that it could have been that you got some feedback through some back channels or whatever.
No, yeah, I don't think they like me, and every time they attack me, I invented a countermeasure, so they're not making headway. I think they're really confused and just give up.
Yeah. So in other words, they might have lost interest in targeting you.
Right, because
it's not very fruitful.
I mean, every time, I mean, imagine, I built that device for 99 cents, that device, and it knocks out billions of dollars worth of technology. So it's just not in their interest to keep going,
Yeah. That is so great. I really.
I know.
I tip
It's
my
a
hat
miracle.
that I tip my hat that you really found that. Wow, that is so fantastic. And David, is there anything else you would like to tell us that we have not touched on and where you think that is important?
Yeah, we need more engineers. Most good engineers are working for the governments of the world, and they're under a contract. They can't reveal or work with any person. They can't do anything to help humanity. And when they start working for the governments, they don't realize what's going on. But once they get deep in, they can't get out, and they can't do anything to help humanity. So we need more engineers like myself inventing countermeasures for everything they come up with to attack us with. And if we don't, they're eventually going to hit on something. And if we don't have a countermeasure for it, humanity's done.
Yeah. Or everybody is going to play the CD.
Yeah, I hopefully can get it to everyone that needs it. And that's why I give it away, because a lot of these TIs, target individuals, are homeless. They've lost everything. They don't have a job. They can't, And I'm just trying to help as many as I can. And I believe if we're put here to help people, I believe we get life force if we help others. We're not here to be selfish and greedy and take over our brothers and sisters. We're here to help everybody, Yeah. And that's what's wrong with the world. It's actually falling apart because nobody wants to help each other. It's all get what you can while you're here,
Yeah, that is so true. So, yeah, wow, that was really, really great, David. I thank you so much for coming on the show. And yeah, I will spread your website around. I will put the link in the description box. And if you know somebody that is suffering, yeah, then get the CD just for the shipping costs, and you're done with it.
Well, thank you for doing what you do. And I was watching a couple of your episodes, and I really like what you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. That's always good to hear, but I'm highly, highly shadow banned. Oh my goodness. Yeah, during the last 12 months, I had to put my channel twice on private. That means for 6 months, I wasn't even visible on YouTube. Yeah,
okay.
because I got so many strikes. Yeah. And you know
Oh,
how it is. Yeah, so I am on other platforms, of course, but you simply do not get, yeah, the same results as in
right.
and now, you know, I can really see how shadow banned I am. As my goodness, I don't
Right.
even believe that everybody. I'm not saying that nobody gets the notification that I did another interview, but not by far everybody. I also experienced it myself, that out of the blue, I was unsubscribed from a channel that I had subscribed to, and I never unsubscribed from them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, guys, that was it. Very, very serious topic today. And but I thank David so much for coming, and we see you all next time. Stay safe and sound out there.
You're very welcome.